Welcome to Life Brand Management. It's your girl, BC Starks, aka Brittany. Hey, and it's officially the new year. Yay! It's my official first podcast of the year, but actually episode 11. And I'm very excited to come back on and talk about a subject that will be talked about for quite some time moving forward on this podcast. And that is the subject of persisting. I want to talk about the power of persisting. This is going to be a recurring thing because that is what life is about. When it comes to goal setting or achieving any goals or manifesting desires or whatever it is you like to call it, there is an important rule of thumb that you will always have to follow no matter what, and that is to persist. This is especially true if you are an intentional creator, as I like to coin the term, because without persisting, you will not see whatever end result it is you are looking to see, because things don't always happen when you want them to. They happen according to the universe and when life aligns things to happen for you. And so many of us will be challenged in our daily lives when we don't see things lining up like we think they should, when we don't get the manifestations on a time basis that we thought we would, and those moments of doubt and fear and disbelief start to creep in, and you might find yourself asking, where is it? Where is it? Why hasn't it happened yet? You know, for many people in the community, I've seen just across the board, when time becomes a factor and things aren't quite looking the way they would like them to appear, or they look like they're getting the opposite of what it is that they've been actually intending, you know, a lot of the questions start to come up, like, you know, where is it? Am I doing it right? You know, is there something else that I should know? And the fact of the matter is, no, there isn't. You know, the beauty of achievement, or, you know, when one finally does acquire whatever it is they're after, is there is a mundane rhythm to the accomplishment. What I mean by that is, a lot of times, all that's required is to do the most simplest, the most basic, the most non-trivial thing that you could actually do to put you in alignment with your vision, but do it as often as possible. And that becomes very mundane, right? Some people think that because they're doing the same things over and over again, that is somehow not working. And that is the illusion of the manifestation journey, is that just because you can't see behind the veil, just because you can't see how things are being orchestrated, doesn't mean that it's not working. Doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. You know, I like to use the analogy of, like, you know, some of the greatest athletes of our time. Well, if you really dissect what makes them super great, it's not that they do anything extra spectacular out of the ordinary. What makes them great is that, unlike the average person, they are willing to practice the same thing over and over and over and over again until they gain mastery in that thing. Whether it's a jump shot, whether it's Serena Williams and her Grand Slam, you know, hit of the ball, whether it's Kobe Bryant and all the magic moves that he made, or Michael Jordan, like, these people literally would practice hours upon hours upon hours in alignment with whatever their end goal was, which was to be the greatest, right? And in order to be the greatest, you have to master something. You have to produce a level of mastery when it comes to your skill set, right? And so that requires repetition. You don't become a master by practicing something every now and then. You become a master by practicing something every single day, more than the average would, right? You become a master by countless hours of dedication, right? Most people, when they dedicate themselves to an end goal, they are not factoring in time. They don't care how long it takes. They're just so dead set on the goal that all that matters are the inches of improvement, the inches of progress, right? It's not about perfection. It's about progress. And so when it comes to persisting in, the process of whatever it is you set out to do, a lot of what is going to keep you going is your faith. And I will tell you something about faith. Faith is literally what the game of life is all cracked up to be. It's all about faith, right? But the thing that I've also learned about faith is that faith is a game of inches. I literally just posted this on my Facebook page and shared it on social media. I came to the realization that faith is a game of inches. What I mean by that is that faith is not always something that you will have in the very beginning. And it's not always required. But it is required along your journey. And it is required that it grows, because that conviction is what's going to keep you in the game of persisting. That is going to keep you going regardless of what you see. Faith is the hope for, the hope of things not seen. I don't even know the definition of it, but go look it up. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm actually not even looking it up, but there's a quote that says that, what faith is. And it's pretty much having a belief in the things that you don't see yet, and hope for the fact that those things will come into fruition regardless of what you see. And so with that being said, you may not have faith in the beginning, but what you got to do is you got to count the inches of faith, meaning anything that you see in your reality, that even if it moves you slightly closer, if it's in the direction of what it is you desire, I don't care how big or how small it is, count it as evidence. Why? Because the way the human brain works is that we think a thought, and then we scan our environment for evidence that make that thought true. And when we have experiences that validate that thought, that is evidence. And when we have conversations that validate that thought, that is also counted as evidence. And so we just go on our merry way gathering evidence. But typically we tend to gather evidence for all the things that keep us out of alignment with what we desire. That's what many of us do. But those who are great, those who have achieved high heights of whatever it is they set out to accomplish, those who practice discipline and who are consistent, they understand that faith is a game of inches, and they will take any and every inch of progress as a sign that it's happening. They will take any and every inch of progress as a sign that it is unfolding in the direction of what they desire. Their life is unfolding. The scenarios or circumstances are unfolding in the direction of what it is that they desire. Because as they collect those inches, those little happenings, whether it's a sign, on the radio, or whether it's a commercial, whether it's a person that they run into and have a conversation with, whether it's indication in the mail, a letter that they get in the mail, whatever the case may be, if it's in the direction of what it is in any kind of way with what it is that they desire, they count it as evidence. And that is what they build upon. And they take that evidence and they keep using that evidence and referring to that evidence anytime that they may want to doubt or quit or give up or question where it's at or question whether or not they're doing it right. They just use the evidence of their journey from anything that has worked, anything that has shown sign of progress. And so that's what I wanted to come on here and talk about when it comes to persisting. That persisting entails faith, and faith is literally a game of inches. And that's something that I am recognizing as I am on my journey and working on specific areas of my life that, I've set goals in. More than just New Year's resolutions, I've literally set life goals that I am just finding myself inching towards in faith, because while I do have faith that my goals are being answered and my prayers are being answered and my manifestations are coming into fruition, I too am not above the questioning. I'm not above the occasional doubt. I'm not above of the occasional exhaustion, looking around in my reality for evidence. I too have done that. I've done that, and but I'm doing it less and less because my faith is growing. I'm doing it less and less because I'm understanding that persisting is a game of faith. Persisting does require faith, but it's also a game of inches, where I'm not seeking to have the experience for the sake of having the experience. I'm seeking it for a particular feeling. And as I go throughout my journey, I'm recognizing that I can cultivate the feeling from within. I don't have to wait for it to happen. And if I'm cultivating the feeling from within, meaning the satisfaction that I'll feel when I get that phone call, or the satisfaction that I'll feel when I hear that great news, or the satisfaction I'll feel while living that version of my life, the version of me that has everything that I desire. What is the satisfaction? What are the pleasures? What are the experiences or emotions that I'll feel? I'm able to cultivate that from within. I think I talked about in a previous episode, inner conversations, and the powerful tool that is to help cultivate the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Well, I've been doing tons of practice when it comes to that, and I'm still doing it, and I'm probably going to be doing it for the rest of my life because I realize the importance of it, right? We're constantly having conversations in our heads throughout the day. And when I say conversations, we're constantly thinking about different topics. And sometimes, yes, conversations. We are thinking about people, and we are holding space for them in our minds on various topics, and we're having inner dialogue up on those various topics in our heads with these people. Sometimes it's, not so positive dialogue if you're upset with someone, or you're, condemning them for something, or you're scorning them for something, or, maybe you're expressing frustration or whatever. Sometimes we're having positive conversations. It just varies. But nonetheless, we're having these things on autopilot. And so being an intentional creator is all about recognizing the creative power that inner conversations have. And so we're not just going to be doing them on autopilot. We're going to do them intentionally in the direction of what it is that we desire, because we recognize the creative power that they hold, right? As I mentioned before, as Dr. Joe Dispenza likes to say, thoughts send the signal out, and our emotions are what draws the event back to us. That's the mechanism of us being electromagnetic beings. And so if that's how the mechanism works, minding our inner conversations, being very aware of what we're having dialogue about, what assumptions we're assuming, what beliefs we're holding on to, because that's what's getting pushed out in our reality. That is what we are living day to day. And if you understand that sometimes goals don't always, appear, you don't always get to have the thing right away. There's a time delay with a lot of this, because sometimes there's a process of unfolding that needs to take place in order for things to unfold in a way that's right for you, right? So you don't get to control the time factor all the time. But guess what? If you quit, you'll never see your ends, desire, manifested. If you quit, you won't have that experience that you so deeply think that you desire. You won't get to experience that thing that you so deeply think that you desire. But that's the purpose of persisting, is that anybody who's ever achieved anything great, it's just that they didn't quit, right? It's not that they had any crazy superpowers that were beyond superhuman ability. Most people, right? Most people that we put on a pedestal and that we give praises to, or that we give props to for having accomplished certain things, it wasn't that they were superhuman or they did anything astronomically exceptional. It's just that they didn't quit with whatever path they were on. They persisted until things started to unfold for them, and they continued to persist even then, right? And most of us will give up before we even reach certain milestones, because we're so busy looking for evidence in the external world of where it is, or am I doing it right, or is this actually happening? And the answer is yes, 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 yes. You can't mess it up. Circumstances do not matter. You cannot mess up a desire that is persistent in for the long haul. You can't mess it up, no matter how many detours you have to take. It just means that there's some things that need to unfold in order for it to come in the proper way, right? And so if you persist, you'll be able to work through all of those things and hopefully gain some wisdom for your journey. And in my case, in the case of what I like to teach, which is becoming an intentional manifester, we're not doing it to temporarily get things. We're doing it to have our desire, but also have it for the long haul, right? To have our desire, but also maintain the desire. Because if you get the desire and you get to keep it, that means that you are the person that it takes to have and keep it. But if you get the desire and you don't keep it, it just means that you haven't become who you need to be in order to maintain that desire. And so the time that's passing by, where instead of looking and questioning, take it with a grain of salt and ask yourself every day, who am I? Who am I? Am I the one that has the desire that I set out to have? Am I the one who not only gets the desire, but am I the one who maintains it? And if the answer is not quite or no, then that is where your daily routines will come into play, because you're going to be the sum of your routines. You are going to eventually program yourself to be the sum of your routines. You already are the sum of your routines. You've already been existing a certain kind of way. But if it's change that you seek, if it's, a shift in your reality that you seek, that means you're going to have to do something different. You're going to have to change something in order to get a different result, right? So if that's what you seek, you are going to be the sum of the things you do day in and day out to embody that version of you who has the life that you desire or the thing that you desire. You're going to have to do something day in and day out that help you shift into that state of your wish fulfilled, whether it's, meditating, whether it's exercising. I talk about my journaling routine in an earlier episode. I talk about so many other things that I have found myself doing on a daily basis to help shift into my desired outcomes and my desired state of my wish fulfilled. It's an embodiment of the version of you who has all that you desire, because again, all potentials are in existence now. Reality, there are infinite realities and infinite potentials for what can exist, but they all exist now when you can acknowledge them, when you can embody them. We are wearing many hats throughout the day in our lives. We show up in various ways and embody various states throughout the day in our lives. And that is a very powerful concept to pay attention to, because if that's the case, why not program or condition yourself to then align with the version of you who is embodying what it is that you desire to be and do and have? We didn't get the way that we are overnight. We got this way over the course of a lifetime, whatever that lifetime, whatever age you are, whatever your experiences have been. That's been the conditioning, right? But the beauty of what I am involved in, the journey that I'm on, what I offer through my course, being an intentional creator. My intentional creation course, by the way, is still on sale for $222. I'm not sure when I'll remove that, but I know once I do, I will never make it that low of a price again. So please do take advantage of it. The whole purpose of being an intentional creator is that we get to be intentional about what it is we're creating and not just let life happen to us, right? And so if that's what we're on this journey to do, then we don't need to get disillusioned by temporary delays, right? A delay is not a denial. It's not a denial. And a delay is also not a sign that it's not working or it's not happening. Because I guarantee if you do anything like what I talk about in my journaling routine, where I tell you that I sometimes write a gratitude list, or mostly write a gratitude list about 15 things that I'm grateful for. If I go back to my gratitude list, I guarantee that I can find evidence for when certain things were happening in the direction of anything that I was manifesting at that time. And if I circle those things and then put them on a list for that specific subject, I will have my evidence. And so I recommend maybe you try that. Try different tools that help you remember or recall when things were working in your favor, even if you're not seeing signs of it at this very moment. If you find yourself to be in a space of doubt, if you find yourself to be in a space of questioning, that is totally normal along this journey, because again, you did not get in the state that you're in overnight. It's something that we've accumulated over time, and then we have our awakening and we recognize, hey, I think I want to change this, or I kind of need to change this, especially if it's getting in the way of what it is we truly know ourselves to be. And so that's what I wanted to hop on tonight to talk about. I feel like I was a little bit all over the place, but I tried to tie it all together, because the gist of it is just understanding the power of persisting, and how persisting is literally a game of faith, which is a game of inches, which just means the more you see evidence, no matter how big or small, document that, because that is going to build your faith, and that's going to keep you going on those days where you don't feel like you're being so effective. But guess what? You're only going to get to your goal by persisting. You're not going to get there if you quit in between, or you quit prematurely. And so that's what I want to tell you guys. I hope it's encouraging to anybody out there who's listening, because we all have our days. As Meg the Stallion likes to say, bad bitches have bad days too. And if you're not a bad bitch and you a bad dude, listen, do your thing, boo. In the meantime, in between time, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, toodles.